Broadway Joe Namath was one of the most revered players of the 60s, but his appeal was deemed irrelevant to the television demographic of females aged 6 to 10. In 1968, NBC allocated 3 hours for the telecast of a Jets-Raiders game, which was to be followed by the network premiere of Heidi, a film for children. Numerous penalties and timeouts caused the game to run longer than expected. With a minute left on the game clock, the Jets were ahead by 3 points.
And the guy pushes the button at 7 o'clock, and away they went. And here's the game going right down the crapper.
The Jets kicked off to the Raiders as Heidi scaled the Alps with her grandfather. Meanwhile, back in Oakland, the Raiders scored twice.
We knew that we won the game. The people in the stadium knew we won the game. But the people that were watching on television across the country thought that the Jets won and we lost.
How can you possibly not show the end of the football game, interrupt this game for some kid show?
Hey, guys, tough. That's the way the ball bounces. The game was running long and it would have been a disaster for our show. They cut the game off and started Heidi from the beginning, and I breathed a big sigh of relief.
While sports fans cringed, a nation of pre-adolescent girls rejoiced.
Monica to Charlie Smith. Smith is hitting and he scores!
The Oakland Raiders reversed their fate with a victory that was unforeseen and unseen by the TV audience. No mere last-minute touchdowns dared preempt the screening of Heidi in its entirety.
There was a considerable amount of plot information in those that first reel or two of Heidi that was absolutely essential. If you'd come into the show in progress, you wouldn't know what was going on.
When I grow up, I don't expect I'll marry you.
Why not?
Because you're silly.
Maybe when I grow up, I won't be silly.
Delbert Mann's artistic vision was briefly compromised when NBC felt compelled to inform viewers of the game's final score during a pivotal moment in his film.
A totally disastrous point from the point of view of the picture. It was where the little girl cousin who has been crippled is trying desperately to crawl and stand and then start to walk for the first time. Really quite a tense moment and a big dramatic moment in the film. Here came the scroll across the bottom telling the score. And I screamed, I jumped up and screamed. Be sensitive to sonic, just put it on somewhere where it won't matter that much.
The viewing public did not display alpine sympathies. Irate callers blew out the switchboards at NBC and the NYPD.
I learned about it when I got home and heard on television news reports and things of that nature.
NBC apologized for the error, but by then Oakland had scored 2 touchdowns in the last minute at Beaton, New York. The game was over. The fans who missed it could not be consoled.
I do recall about a week after the show went on the air that NBC took out a full-page ad in the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, with great quotes from the critics. The very last quote at the bottom of the last column was signed Joe Namath. People still talk about it. The infamous Heidi game. Best publicity we could ever have gotten. I thought it was wonderful.